the togetherness, loved making love on the beach under the stars, loved hearing her new husband whisper sweet words of undying love in her ears. She had every right to expect that she would return home and have a normal marriage. Instead, she had returned home to be served with divorce papers. Even a stupid person could figure out the divorce papers had to have been drawn up and filed while they were still on their honeymoon. Sam looked around for her purse and car keys. The little mirror by the front door showed her that her eyes were red and puffy, as if she cared. Minutes later, she was on her way. As she maneuvered the BMW up and down the streets, she wondered what this particular summons was all about. Something to sign, undoubtedly. She'd called an attorney who was a client of the accounting firm where she worked to represent her, but he'd been out of the office taking a deposition. His secretary said she would have him return her call later in the day. She was on K Street with 2 blocks to go. She found a vacant spot, parked, buttoned her coat against the cold wind, and moved toward the entrance to the building that housed the Pritzi law firm. She signed in, showed her ID, and headed for the elevator that would take her to the 18th floor. The law firm was one of the most prestigious firms in the D.C. area, befitting Douglas Rainford III, who liked to say he measured everything in life by dollar signs and beauty. "I have an appointment with Mr. Pritzi. Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? Pritzi, I mean," Sam asked. The receptionist looked up at Sam with a blank expression before she looked down at her appointment book. "Which one?" Sam prompted as she looked around the shiny marble lobby with the expensive furniture and luscious green plants. She looked down at her watch. "I'm in a hurry," she said coolly. "Isn't everyone?" The receptionist responded just as coolly. "Yes, but I'll leave if Mr. Pritzi doesn't see me in the next 3 minutes," Sam said, her eyes glued to her watch. "What am I doing here? I never should have come. My lawyer can handle things," she thought. The phone console buzzed. The receptionist listened attentively. She hung up the phone and said, "Mr. Pritzi will see you now. Go through the door on the right. Mr. Pritzi's office is the 3rd door on the right." Sam unbuttoned her coat as she walked through the open door and down the hall. She took a second to look at the nameplate on the door. Emmett Pritzi. The worm. Number 4 in the pecking order of Pritzi brothers. Smallest office off the long hallway, 1 tiny window, no secretary. It could only mean one thing. Emmett Pritzi was the runt of the litter. She felt insulted. Emmett Pritzi was a smallish man, thin and wiry. He wore large, thick glasses that magnified his eyes and seemed to engulf his thin face. He didn't bother putting his jacket on, nor did he bother to stand up to greet her. A worm. She felt more insulted. Without waiting to be asked, she sat down across from his desk. She felt bold and aggressive. She also felt wounded and sad, but this worm didn't need to know that. She wished she'd put on some makeup. "I don't have much time, Mr. Pritzi, so let's get right to the point." That's when she saw the folder on his desk. Even though it was upside down, she knew it was the prenuptial agreement she'd signed before she married Douglas. She waited. The attorney was just about to speak when a knock sounded on the door, and it opened almost immediately. A secretary handed over a sheaf of papers, which the attorney ignored. Emmett Pritzi shuffled the papers in a folder that had her name on the flap. Sam saw a blue check work its way out of the folder. The lawyer picked it up and waved it around, then wet his lips as he tried to decide what he was going to say. Sam lost her patience. "Yes?" The lawyer took a deep breath.
"Your husband said I was to give you this check and to tell you he's sorry things didn't work out. The check is for $5,000 as per the prenuptial agreement. As you know, if you and Douglas had remained married after the 5 years stipulated, you were to get $10 million. Since that isn't going to happen, this is your payoff."
He slid the check across the desk. Sam looked down at the blue check and wanted to cry. $5,000 for a 3-week honeymoon. The man she'd married, the man she'd thought she loved, certainly moved at the speed of light. She made no move to pick it up because she was too busy fighting the tears that threatened to roll down her cheeks. She leaned back in the leather chair and forced a laugh that sounded hysterical to her own ears.
"I don't find this a laughing matter, Mrs. Rainford,"
the worm squeaked. Another paper slid across the desk.
"All you have to do is sign the release and the check is yours."